is particularly stable. While Barack Obama is a very cool customer, he also has the best use. Like, he's very poised. So those things tend to go together. People who are poised don't tend to lose their temper as unnecessarily, and people who got really weird tension patterns and compression and all sorts of unnecessary tension going on, pulling down and clenching, and these weird interfering patterns, they're more likely to be emotionally unstable.
All right, that's very good. I want to comment on a couple of the figures that you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
One is you mentioned Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And I know that he's an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And you once mentioned that actors tend to have very good use.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because they tend to be people who are conscious of their instrument. You always talk about, working on your instrument, refining your instrument when you're an actor, because your body is your instrument. Okay. And also they have people giving them feedback on how they're using themselves. If they had weird interfering tension patterns, they wouldn't be able to, if they couldn't let them go, they wouldn't be able to get into different characters. So the acting world kind of self-selects. Like, there are some actors who can't let go of their interfering tension patterns, and that considerably limits their success. And politicians generally tend to have much better use than the average person.
Right, and then you mentioned Obama has very good use, right? Now, I remember you mentioned before that the chair is very bad. And people, and kids tend to grow up, and they have very good
use until they go to school.
Until they go to school and they have to sit in a chair.
Yeah.
So you mentioned people who live in a first world country and they grow up like that usually have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because they sat in chairs.
Yeah.
Which they shouldn't
do. But Barack Obama was in Indonesia and Hawaii, where they're not very
Kenya. He grew up in Kenya.
Not very civilized.
Right. He grew up in Kenya and Indonesia. He probably was running around, with a loincloth. Throwing spears. He's got great use. He's walking around, and he doesn't have neck problems. Because he never saw a chair until he got to
the White House.
Well, I was going to say until he got in on affirmative action to
university
as a foreign student, financial aid. So, all right. So that's our fun for today. Now, so that's like what Raj says. Maybe you should write a book and go through people in history and talk about
Jesus Christ.
How did he?
Chapter on Jesus Christ. Chapter on Moses, King David.
Like Richard Nixon, I'm sure he had very bad use.
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Talk about these individuals and, do Stalin and Hitler and
Janet Jameson, Linda Lovelace, Marilyn Chambers.
You could even go in that direction, so because you're intimately familiar with that world.
Notice how that actress is like compressing her neck when she, she does certain scenes.
Yeah, you could, and then you could watch those scenes and
comment on them.
Because you would be doing
the Alexander technique.
Yeah, I'm sure that the other technique teachers would really be thrilled with that. But you brought up a good point. Maybe that LA is like a little bit too crowded for the thing, and you may need to
spread my wings,
spread your wings, and pick it up in China. So what do you think?
Well, Dallas. There's only one teacher in Dallas. 0 teachers in Las Vegas.
0 teachers in Las Vegas?
0 teachers in Las Vegas.
I wonder why that is.
Because who wants to live there? And there aren't that many teachers anyway, so they tend to congregate amongst themselves where they can work on each other.
Oh, how cultish. Why don't you go to Vegas? They have a strong Jewish community there. They have a very frum community there. I have a lot
Well, they didn't have very frum. It's very unfrum.
I want to tell you something. I have several friends who live in Vegas who are frum.
And they don't drive on Shabbos.
No, and they don't use the computer on Shabbos.
And they don't drive on Shabbos.
And they don't drive on Shabbos.
Well, there aren't many.
No, there are many.
Do they go to Chabad?
These people go to all different kinds of places.
Right.
And when I went to Vegas last time I was in Vegas was in the mid-2000s. About I don't know how many years ago that was. And there were like 4 or 5 kosher restaurants. But today there's like 10.
Really?
The place is doubling, and
Well, but Vegas is like terribly depressed. Like the economy sucks there. I mean, it's really bad in Nevada and bad in Vegas. So, maybe I'll put an announcement on my website, and at least I could go there for a couple of days and teach and see how many students.
Right. Hey, Abe, how's it going? Good to see you. We're filling up. We have quite an audience here. We have a big following. right?
Lakewood Ralph says he met a sort of froom Jewish stripper in Las Vegas, made him wish that he'd met her 10 years earlier.
Right. Okay. So now that I brought up the elections, want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the big Florida thing.
Yeah. So I say Mitt Romney by 12.
You think it's Mitt Romney by 12?
Yeah.
I saw last night that Insider Advantage. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
They said that Newt has all the momentum, and they have it down to Newt was trailing by 5. And if you follow that trend, because they're always right on target, Insider Advantage is the poll that I pay attention to the most. Because you can go to like realclearpolitics.com, they've got like a whole, it's all based on garbage because they have like all these stupid ones that they add in, and it clouds the thing. You have to find the one that is consistently right.
Yeah.
And Insider Advantage is consistently right. They're always ahead of the trend. They always like a day or two ahead of the trend. And they said that everything is swinging back into Newt's side. The question is, is there enough voters left? Because they have the early primary, early voting. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull this off, but he definitely has the momentum. You know, and if he loses it, he's not going to lose. I think he won't lose by much. I think he'll lose because the early voting, it's a hard call. But I'll go with the 5. I think he's going to lose by 5. But, you know, I want to say what's been going on. I'm not happy about what's going on over there.
Okay.
You know, the establishment of the Republican Party has, I won't say embraced, I would say they've flocked to and have surrounded a liberal. They've all flocked to this Romney guy, and anyone that now, like, threatens to purge his chances has become the enemy. So they've decided that Gingrich, who's now a threat to Romney, is the enemy, and these people have blasted him down there in the most vicious campaign filled with lies and some of the most vicious rhetoric, and they've thrown one of their own to the wolves. And he is basically presenting the Tea Party message. The Tea Party has embraced him. 300 Tea Party groups nationwide have embraced Gingrich. And we are seeing a repeat of 2010. I don't know if you remember. 2 years ago, the Tea Party was doing the grassroots thing, bucking the establishment. You know, and the establishment was saying, okay, here we have a candidate in Nevada we have a candidate in, what was that, Delaware that we want. And the Tea Party said, shut up, we're tired of rhinos, and they put in their own people. You remember this?
Yeah.
And there was a big civil war.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening from that civil war? The Republicans took over the Congress. The people in the establishment of the RNC, the Republican National Committee, which, by the way, is just DNC light. There's very little difference. There's very little difference between Romney and Obama. That's why I won't vote for Romney. He is Obama. If you like Obama, you'll have no problem with Romney. They're the same. You really can't, when the two of them are going to debate, if he should win the nomination, they get to the debates, you're not going to see much difference between the two. So it's retarded for Republicans to get behind this guy when you're mad at Obama. You need someone who's got a clear contrast to Obama. Right? You're still with Santorum.
Yeah.
Right? Santorum would make a great debate because you can see a clear contrast. That's how I view Gingrich. Okay? But instead, a lot of the, establishment and the RNC, they're going to once again try to marginalize, and they're going to chew off their own leg, just like a coyote. They're going to chew their own leg off because they're going to marginalize Gingrich. They're going to marginalize all the Tea Party people. They're calling all these people extremists. And what did happen when they pissed off those people 2 years ago? They threw out all the rhinos. Right? That rhino in Delaware lost, was it a her or a him? I can't remember.
Oh, the one who said she dabbled in witchcraft?
No. She came in and she got her ass kicked, right? Yeah. But it cost the Republican a job. Yeah. Who was that?
I don't remember his name.
Okay. Some rhino in Delaware got his ass, he would have been there in Congress. He got pulverized by this movement, right? The movement's going to have some casualties of its own, but it ended up that they took,